For further news updates, let's go across to my colleague Gauri Singh.
That's right. In fact, the travel rules that we are talking about that have been issued by UK have not only ensured a big controversy, but also has actually created an environment of confusion and non-clarity. There are several statements that have come from United Kingdom, and we will try and explain to our viewers what exactly it means for travelers and specifically for Indian travelers. Now, the first big statement that United Kingdom gave on this particular issue yesterday, in fact, they said that Covishield is now approved as a vaccine in the country. Now, what it means is that Covishield is now on UK's approved vaccines list. Before that, Covishield was not included as the approved vaccines in United Kingdom, and there was a massive row over it because the parent company which produces Covishield is the same, and United Kingdom is currently using AstraZeneca vaccine, the parent company's vaccine, but they were refusing to give same kind of recognition to the Indian version of the same vaccine. Another important statement that United Kingdom gave, of course, was that Covishield jabbed travelers from 18 countries allowed. They basically gave a very specific list of all those 18 countries from where the Covishield jabbed travelers will be allowed in UK with minimum travel curbs. But the important aspect to it is, of course, that India is not included in those 18 countries, and hence making the entire controversy even bigger. Third point that UK highlighted was that travelers from India will be treated non-vaccinated, which basically means that even if you are fully vaccinated in India, if you are traveling to UK, you will be considered non-vaccinated and you will have to undergo stringent quarantine norms as well as testing norms. Another important thing that UK had said regarding vaccine certificates, UK said that they are exploring recognition of vaccine certificates. In fact, they also said they are engaging with Indian authorities continuously over this issue and to find a solution to it. What it exactly means is that CoWIN vaccine certificates are not recognized by UK yet. So the vaccine certificates that you and me get after vaccination via CoWIN, that has simply zero value right now in United Kingdom, and you will be treated non-vaccinated in United Kingdom. So these are some of the basic points and bigger statements that have been given by United Kingdom, and of course they have far-reaching implication.
Right, Gauri, thank you so much for giving us that explanation of how these things stand between what UK is saying and what India has in fact been saying. I'm also joined over the phone line by Dr. Yatin Mehta, health expert, who's joining us in the conversation on this today. Dr. Mehta, what we have in fact seen is that the UK has in fact said that they are working, they are trying to ensure that the builders of the CoWIN portal and the NHS app have a conversation with each other over technical aspects of the vaccine certification portal that we follow in order to sort out the issue. But India has raised this issue over the past several days now and also said that they will be forced to take reciprocal measures. In this context, sir, what do you think are some of the main things that can be done immediately in order to sort out the issue between the two countries? Because they are talking to each other about the technical aspects, but that's putting a lot of Indian travelers in the limbo, who are now worried whether, under what circumstances, even despite being vaccinated, when they land up, they will have to factor in that quarantine period.
No, I think this is completely discriminatory. I have lived in UK many years back. I thought things had improved, but this is a vaccine which is made in India, which they can inject to their people and give them a certificate. They do not believe if we give it to the people here, tomorrow they will say they do not recognize the passport, because somebody has bribed somebody and got a false passport made. There is no end to all this. I mean, we have at Medanta vaccinated thousands and thousands of people, and there is not one case where the vaccine can be given without CoWIN registration, and all of them get certificates. So I'm not aware of a single case where vaccine has not been given and people have got the certificates, or people have jumped the queue and got the certificate without CoWIN registration. I mean, if there are technical hitches in CoWIN, suppose you find it difficult and all, that is not their concern. Their concern is, are there any false positives? Do we give certificates in India to people who have not got vaccine? There is not a single case reported. So this is completely discriminatory, I think the British should get off their high horses and get down to earth. They must realize colonial period is over.
That's right. And in fact, in terms of the statement which has been made by the British High Commissioner only yesterday, that saying that Covishield is not the problem. The fact also is that there is a vaccine that we are using, which is of course the most predominant vaccine being used in the country, which even the UK is using and several other countries are using. But India has still not been put on that list of approved nations.
That the Covishield they are approving, but the procedure for getting the certificate they are not approving. Now this is just, I think, finding faults with nothing. I mean, they are just trying to justify their colonial mindset and the discriminatory nature. I mean, India should reciprocate. In case in the next few days they are not able to resolve this, I think then obviously we'll have to do a reciprocal action. And we do not recognize the British certificates of transplant. They are welcome to come for their business if they want to after their quarantine here.
Right, Dr. Mehta, thank you so much for joining us on this. I'm also joined by Mr. Anil Triguniat, former diplomat, on this issue. Sir, thank you so much for speaking to us here on Mirror Now. Your first reaction to what the British High Commissioner had to say, that Covishield is not the problem, but they're talking about the technical aspects of the CoWIN portal, and that both CoWIN and NHS app builders are talking to each other on the certification, how the certification process is carried out in India. So they're clearly raising an issue about our portal, whereas we've had our experts, in fact, saying that CoWIN portal is one of the best in the world when it comes to the vaccine certification process, and several other countries have shown an interest and appreciation for it.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. And I fully agree with Dr. Mehta, what he said about this. The problem is that now that they have acknowledged the mistake that they had not included Covishield in the list of approved vaccines, realizing that it had come from there itself. So whether it was really a mischief or whether it was by design, one does not understand. But anyway, that was taken care of. But now then they are starting that they will not accept the certificates issued by the Indian government under the CoWIN. I think, as far as I am concerned, or I have seen it, I think our vaccine certificate or the system or the procedure of the CoWIN app that we follow is probably the best in the world. And it is being also offered to large number of countries who have shown interest in using this app. And I think that the Britishers need to look at it. As far as NHS is concerned, I'm sure you are aware that NHS very often outsources its large number of operations and procedures to Indian doctors and in Indian hospitals. It's been going on for decades. They are not able to cope up themselves. Now, finding glitches and putting technical glitches and putting people into a lot of jeopardy, unnecessary inconvenience, and expending it, that shows that the Britishers are still, not able to understand and looking at the logic. I'm glad that Prime Minister has yesterday taken that there should be a mutual recognition of documents, and I think that is the first way of invoking reciprocity. I mean, there is absolutely no reason that the same country you are doing it, you should be more worried about the vaccine if you doubt the vaccine. But of course, if there are any cases, they should bring it to the notice of the Indian government. I mean, people get infected while in the flight also. That is quite possible. So you cannot say that just because somebody has been, other countries, like, for example, UAE and other countries, have evolved the procedures that you get a RT-PCR test or a quick test before boarding and on arrival. I mean, this has been happening in a large number of countries. They're doing it. So I think there has to be some kind of a harmonized, a uniform standard if we are going to fight the pandemic at all.
Right. So what do you think is the diplomatic way out of this, or even probably the technical and health aspect focus way out of this? Because maybe one of the issue is that the UK is not clearly spelling out what their main concern with the CoWIN portal is. So what do you think are some of the things which need to be done now, both from the UK side and from our side, in order to sort out this issue?
You see, as far as the diplomatic side is concerned, I think now our foreign minister had already taken up with his counterpart, and thereafter they realized that they included the Covishield in the thing. And now, as far as the quarantine is concerned, every country can take measures that it wishes to, but it should not be discriminatory only for A or B or C. I mean, if you want to put everybody on a quarantine for 10 days after arrival, it's perfectly fine. I mean, nobody will doubt that, like we have in India. But then at the same time, if you are going to say the Indians will have to undergo this thing and additional protocols, then that is not acceptable. That is one. And secondly, I think that now Prime Minister has also made it very clear. And if the discussions are going on the CoWIN app or with others, with the NHS, I think they should conclude those negotiations rather faster than before. I mean, they cannot delay it because it's inconveniencing the people. And otherwise, it will lead to unnecessary acrimony in the bilateral relations. And I think it will have to be raised at a level. Both are democracies, so people do understand that the putting the people at inconvenience cannot be acceptable.
Mr. Anil Trigunyat, former diplomat, thank you so much for joining us on this discussion today.